Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking some seriously fascinating source material. We're taking what seems like a pretty straightforward topic, a practical fitness curriculum for older adults, and watching it transform into a profoundly deep life philosophy. We're going to explore the hidden depths of senior Taekwondo together, and I promise you, it's going to completely change the way you look at aging, martial arts, and even human energy itself.
Okay, let's dive into this. First up, we're rethinking senior Taekwondo. Then we'll track the shift of human energy, explore breathing and vitality, redefine martial arts versus sports, and finally uncover the true role of elders. All right, Section 1. Rethinking senior Taekwondo and the curriculum dilemma. To really grasp this philosophy, we first need to ground ourselves in a very real, practical problem that martial arts instructors are facing right now. Think about it. How exactly do we adapt a high-flying, explosive martial art for seniors? The source material highlights this huge debate among experts who are designing these programs. You've got some researchers saying, let's progress quickly and start with kicks, while others are completely pushing back, arguing, no, we have to start slowly with pumse, the physical forms. They are really struggling to find the center of gravity here, mainly because traditional Taekwondo simply wasn't built for aging bodies. Think about kids practicing martial arts for a second. The source points out that children naturally jump, stomp, and exert all this intense force. And why is that? Well, because their developing bodies literally need to build lower body strength. It's how they grow. But if a senior citizen tries to jump and stomp with that same explosive power, their bones could literally break. Conditions like osteoporosis make those high-impact moves incredibly dangerous. So the curriculum can't just be a slowed-down version of youth Taekwondo. Its fundamental purpose has to change entirely. Moving right along to Section 2, the shift of human energy. Where does our vitality actually go? And this brilliantly illustrates how we should train the aging body. The source introduces this deeply fascinating Eastern philosophy. Our life force actually physically travels upward through the body as we age. In childhood, like we just talked about, that yang energy is way down in the feet and lower body, which explains the constant running and jumping around. As we hit our youth and middle age, that energy moves up to the waist and chest. This is the energy for physical labor, intense ambition, and emotion. But then, as we reach our senior years, the energy doesn't just vanish. No, it travels upward again, finally resting in the mouth and speech. It's a massive shift from physical exertion to verbal wisdom. Which brings us to Section 3, breathing and vitality, and the mechanics of the breath. Now you might be wondering, is this upward movement of energy just some abstract metaphor? Actually, no. It directly, physically impacts our physiology. Just look at how our breathing degrades as that energy moves up. Children naturally do this deep danjin or belly breathing. If you've ever watched a baby sleep, you know their belly rises and falls perfectly. But by the time we're in middle age and the energy is in our chest, our breathing gets shallower. Finally, in old age, the breath barely makes it past the throat. The source notes that seniors often feel breathless and lose their vitality simply because they physically lost the ability to draw oxygen deep into their core. So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial point here is that the physical movements in senior Taekwondo aren't about learning to fight or break boards. Not at all. They are merely a tool. They're a method to correct this physical degradation. The whole goal of moving the body in these classes is literally to force that breath back down into the belly, to restore deep breathing, improve health, and cultivate the mental clarity you need for this next phase of life. That takes us to Section 4, Martial Arts versus Sports, Redefining the Martial Way. Here's where the source material really elevates the conversation, moving us away from basic fitness concepts and introducing the true spiritual purpose behind the practice. To get this, we have to understand Mudo, which translates to the martial way. The text emphasizes that true Mudo is absolutely not practice for yourself. You practice to cultivate your spirit so you can live for the benefit of humanity. In the source, this is called Honghik Ingan, which is this beautiful foundational concept of living to broadly benefit the human world. True martial artists are training their minds and bodies specifically so they can serve others. The ideal composition of Taekwondo, according to this philosophy, breaks down like this: 70% spirit, or the martial way, and only 30% physical exercise. That means it is overwhelmingly a mental and spiritual endeavor. The physical exercise, that's really just the vessel that holds the spirit. And you know, that 30% number is incredibly significant in another way too. The source asserts that when you reach your 50s, you actually must proactively reduce your physical labor and exertion by 30%. You literally have to stop acting like a youth.
If you keep pushing your body like you're still 30, you're going to get hurt. This dialing back of physical output is highly deliberate. It frees up your energy so you can start using your mind much more intensely.
All right, our final section, number 5. The true role of elders, finding purpose beyond labor. Zooming out to the macro level, the source poses a really poignant question. Why do so many elders feel lost, just sitting around aimlessly in senior centers? The answer is pure cause and effect. Society simply hasn't educated them on what their later life role actually is. Their phase of physical labor is over, sure, but because nobody has shown them what comes next, they're left totally without a clear sense of purpose.
When we map out societal roles by age, a beautifully cohesive structure emerges. It makes perfect sense. Children are meant to learn and adapt. Youth and adults, they're meant to labor, work, and use their physical strength. But seniors, their role is a complete 180. They are meant to guide, impart wisdom, and use the power of their words. Remember that upward shift of energy we talked about earlier? The energy moving to the mouth? This is exactly why it happens.
The source material captures this so beautifully, stating, "The energy is here, receiving the power of the sky to hand down words of wisdom to our youth." It's absolutely crucial to realize that an elder's true job is not to compete with the youth in physical strength. Instead, they need to use their carefully cultivated words to give energy, direction, and guidance to the younger generation. When an elder speaks with true wisdom, it carries an energy that the youth desperately need but just cannot generate on their own.
And the text points out exactly who this applies to right now in our modern era, the baby boomer generation. They are the ones stepping into the role of the new grand elders, or sionjo, of this society. They're being called upon to be the spiritual pillars of the nation, kicking off a brand new chapter where their minds, their wisdom, and their words are their absolute greatest contributions.
So I want to leave you with this provocative thought to ponder, because it really hits the nail on the head for this entire explainer. As we design fitness programs, as we interact with aging populations, and honestly, as we look at our own lives, are we preparing our elders to just be worn-out physical laborers, or are we giving them the tools, the breath, and the purpose to be the spiritual pillars of our nation? Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible dive into the source material today. Keep asking those big questions, and I'll catch you next time.